All right. Thank you again for the great introduction. I am excited about being here to talk a little bit about my research, to talk about what we're doing currently here at Rutgers University. So just for context, I've only been here since November. So I am still figuring out where buildings are on campus, and I'm excited for the new year to start with our students coming back in just a couple of weeks. So this is a quote that I've used throughout. We have it on our website, I have it in my dissertation, but we must realize that when basic needs have been met, human development is primarily about being more, not having more. And I think that's really a key feature that when we're talking about our students and talking about what their challenges are and what they need to survive and strive while they're here on campus, this kind of gives a good piece to that. So with that, I want you to kind of talk to yourselves for just a second real quick here. All right, it's almost like church where you have to, the comments are coming to you and then you're supposed to repeat and talk to your neighbor. So here, we're gonna try this, okay? Look at your neighbor on the right and repeat after me. All right. He is here because of people like you and me. All right, now look to your left and say, I could be a change agent here at Rutgers and support system to help our students. All right, you're getting there. It's all right, we're gonna get there. All right, and I say that because I want to let you know a little bit about me, and I'm gonna open up and kind of share those different things. I'm a kid from Cleveland, Ohio, just kind of like, if you're anybody, LeBron friends or anything like that, fans, he's just a kid from Akron, while I'm just a kid from Cleveland, 45 minutes north of where Akron is at. Came from a single parent household, first generation student. I was a college athlete. Any guess of what sport I played? Baseball. I was a baseball player, lefty pitcher, and also a student leader. She was cheating, she knows too much. I was also, even though I was a student leader, even though I was a college athlete, I was also a student that was food insecure, housing insecure. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that, as we kind of talk through some of this as well. My mother, at the age of 14, my mother had a brain aneurysm. She almost died on the table when they opened her head up, operated on her, and she survived it. Then we lost our house, we moved around different cities, different houses, different schools, things like that. I didn't think I was going to be here. And again, it was a village of folks that really came around to, really wrap their arms around me to really help me get to where I am today. Almost went to the military. 2 weeks before I was supposed to go to basic training, baseball coach called me and said, hey, I still have this baseball scholarship for you. Do you want to come here? I went to Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I played baseball for 3 out of the 4 years. But during some of that time, my mother lost her housing. My brother actually ended up in a children's home. And then he actually lived with me in the residence halls on my college campus. My mother lived in a homeless shelter within walking distance of the college that I went to for undergrad. So I'm not supposed to be here. At least that's what the statistics say. But I am. I'm here. I've also graduated high school after failing 9th grade. I graduated on time, went to college, graduated on time, went to master's, got my master's degree, and now finished my doctorate this past May. So that's just, again, the trials and tribulations of my life and the things that students that we see each and every day are going through on our campuses, not even knowing the kind of things that they're being challenged with. All right, so in the sake of time, I have some notes up here, so I'm gonna try to read off some of these. So if anybody knows me, I can be long-winded, and I don't want to do that. So I want to make sure I get you all out of here in enough time. So with this, there are guiding principles for basic needs work. All right, the 3 principles are meeting students' basic needs as a foundational to affordability, accessibility, student success throughout higher education. At the core of basic needs are food insecurity, housing insecurity, and financial stability. Basic needs can also be expanded to include other student supports that are also key to help to upholding students' dignity, belonging, academic achievement, and professional success. 2, student students' challenges with basic needs reflect long-standing struggles with inequality, inequity, and systematic racism. In addressing basic needs, institutional leaders, policymakers, faculty, and staff should center equity, accessibility, sustainability, and justice, and work to affirm and support students with disproportionate basic needs experiences. 3, meeting students' basic needs is a collaborative effort. These difficulties cannot be solved solely by higher education institutions. As a result, higher education institutions should engage intersegmentally and regionally with one another, with local and state government and philanthropic and community organizations to better serve students across a broad spectrum of basic needs. So those are our guiding principles in doing this work. With that, there's a lot of current research that's out there. So I'm going to kind of walk through some of the current information that we currently have and give you a little bit of that information here. How many people are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Okay, a lot of hands are up. Great. In 1943, Maslow initially stated that individuals must satisfy lower level needs before progressing on to meet the higher level growth needs. However, he later clarified that satisfaction of needs is not an all or none phenomenon, admitting that his earlier statements may have given the false impression that the need must be satisfied at 100% before moving on to the next need as it emerges. So with that being said, to kind of show you a little bit more of this baseline here is the physiological needs: food, water, warmth, rest, and again, safety needs, security, safety, are what we consider as our basic needs. Those things need to be secured first before the higher levels of belongingness, love, esteem, self-actualization actually happens. So understanding that when we're talking about basic needs, we want to talk through what, specifically what basic needs currently is. So basic needs defined as to refer to those things that are necessary to sustain life. It is a minimum requirements of community for a decent standard of life. Basic needs consist of adequate food, shelter, and clothing, plus some household equipment and furniture. They also include essential services provided by and the community at large, such as safe drinking water, sanitation, health, and education. We are here in education. Today's students face increased costs of higher education while federal grants and loans continue to shrink. A percentage of our students are food and housing insecure, homeless, or one emergency away from dropping out of school because of their inability to pay their bills. Students struggling with basic needs are typically more stressed, depressed, and less likely to succeed academically, according to studies by the Hope Center. But even if students know they need help, the stigma for seeking help remains a barrier. We want students to think of basic needs help like they do academic advising or career counseling or a success strategy to get through college. Asking for help is a sign of self-awareness and self-advocacy. And students should celebrate that they're willing to seek out support for themselves. When thinking of typical college students, we envision 18 to 21-year-olds fresh out of high school, taking classes full-time on a thriving campus. That is no longer true. Full-time, 18 to 21-year-old students now make up just a third of the college population. While many tend to think that the typical college students, as an 18 to 22-year-old who lives on campus and attends classes full-time, in reality, today's students represent a new reality. They're also balancing multiple commitments. They're older. Nearly 40% of undergraduate students are older than 25. About 65% are working while attending college, and more than 1/4 are parents. Taking on part-time employment has become a norm, as 8 in 10 college students now work while in college, and more than 70% of college students have worked while attending college, but are still in debt when they graduate. Today, almost every college student works, but you can't work your way through college anymore. A significant problem remains, as those who must work are also found to face other insecurities. According to the Real College Survey in 2020, students who face basic needs instability are overwhelmingly active participants in the labor force. with over 70% of students who face food insecurity, housing insecurity, and homelessness are also working. Students will work 20 plus hours and sometimes multiple jobs, thus the amount of time away from their studies can limit them from obtaining the competencies expected by employers once they complete their degrees. The low-income students that must work are disproportionately women, Blacks, Latinos, and which have also created potential inequalities and disparities amongst college students and communities. Rather than pursuing their professional goals through unpaid internships and co-ops, marginalized students devote more time to each week to jobs with limited growth potential. These jobs typically do not fully cover their tuition or their living requirements. The Hope Center also reported that 53% of the four-year college students face some sort of basic needs insecurity. In terms of any basic needs, included students who experience food insecurity, housing insecurity, homelessness within the last year. In turn, food insecurity can look like skipping meals to make money last, only eating pasta because vegetables cost too much, or feeling anxious about affording food. 29% of four-year college students experience food insecurity. In terms of housing insecurity, which includes struggling to pay rent, inconsistent housing, meaning students that are couch surfing, or low quality, unsafe housing, was reported that 40% of students were affected during the pandemic. So into my research here, the study focused on Black students with basic needs challenges, examined students' collegiate socialization experience, academic performance, and involvement in co-curricular programs in order to understand experiences related to persistence patterns in post-secondary education. Again, students who are having trouble meeting their basic needs requirements such as housing and food insecurity might wonder whether going to college is worthwhile, investing the time, money, effort, and commitment. More than ever, the price of college determines whether or not low-income students can enroll and more significantly finish their degrees. COVID-19 pandemic has impacted individuals' basic needs, insecurity in the United States, and it continues to significantly influence individual and community health and economic well-being. Aside from the loss of life, substantial portions of the population was facing job loss, increasing financial pressures, increased mental health crisis. And even before the pandemic, students who were facing housing and food insecurity were at a higher risk of range of poor consequences, including decreased campus involvement, lower academic performance, and not finishing their studies. From the Real College Survey conducted by the Hope Center in 2020, 71% of Black students' basic needs were affected by the pandemic. This purpose allowed me to develop two questions for the research. The first one, what motivates Black students with basic needs challenges to persist in college? And then two, how does experiencing basic needs challenges affect Black students' overall collegiate experiences? Now more than ever, college students face unique challenges and in making access to equity in higher education harder due to the rising tuition costs, evaporating government funding, and antiquated financial aid systems that have made basic needs insecurity one of the new norms, including decreasing amount of state appropriated funds to higher education institutions. College overall cost has risen over 500% since 1982. Changes to the federal Pell Grant rules over the years have forced higher education institutions to increase expenses, expecting students to foot the bill by relying on loans of their own or those from their parents. So based off of that study, I came up with different themes, 7 themes. This multiple case study design required me to analyze the data from the earlier interviews before scheduling, conducting later ones. And then I came up with these initial codes that were developed in the literature reviews and motivation, experience, basic needs, belonging, resiliency. The emerging themes developed from this study were motivation, lived experiences, college environment, faculty and staff interactions, the COVID-19 effect, the struggle is real, and then the different things that the participants shared with me. It has been said that next to hunger and thirst, Our most basic human need is storytelling, from Khalil Gibran. As you can see here on the screen behind me, these are actual quotes from the participants from the study. Findings from the study illustrated that the role of African American students have on their campuses with making connections and responsibility toward others that share their identities. Consistent with previous research and experiences of Black students in college, some of the participants shared they found community and mentorship within culturally based student organizations and friend circles. One of the participants specifically discussed how they felt it was their duty to look out for others like them and share the research on how to fulfill their basic needs and student organization meetings. A rather unexpected finding from the study was the participants' experience with meal plans and transportation, whether living on or off campus at the time. At both institutions, meal plans are required for students living on the campus housing. However, participants talked about how difficult it was for them to eat because of the limited meal plan swipes, how costly but essential having one was, and how few options were there for their food on the weekends. This was reporting as dining meal plans nationally average around $18.75 per day, and for a three meal a day dining contract compared to less than $11 on average a single person spends on food in one day. So again, students are, when they come here, $18.75 compared to what they normally spend on a day is around $11. Since meal skipping is frequently associated with college students' long-term health and behaviors, and a high incidence of bad eating behaviors in demographic groups, it is crucial to comprehend the relationship between two in order to successfully influence public health efforts and national and nutritional interventions. Another key finding from the study involves faculty members' inability to connect with participants in meaningful ways in comparison to their staff or administrative counterparts. Participants shared that they felt that the staff support was given unintentionally, however, that it was given genuinely, and that it fostered authentic relationships with students and then encouraged all-encompassing support for their success. The findings from the study have numerous implications related to practice and policy and faculty and administrators at institutions serving African American students. Institutions must adopt new, creative, and collaborative strategies to better serve students whose needs have been adversely affected by the pandemic and recent decreases in enrollment, shrinking budgets, shifting priorities, make it important for institutions to look at how they extend services and support to students with basic needs challenges. For many, the need to receive government assistance and guidance from the support staff on college campuses is vital for their survival. As students seek to complete their degrees, higher education institutions have begun to implement food pantries, care teams, emergency aid funds, and temporary housing alternatives on their campuses to best serve students with basic needs issues. So with that, there are 7 words here that from the research kind of went through. One was to educate. Institutions had to educate themselves and their students about the available supports. Faculty members should take part in continuing education opportunities that discuss basic needs, challenges, and current resources available on their campuses. Faculty should include a basic needs statement in their class syllabus, which should share on-campus resources. Institutions should consider using professional and other institutional representatives to assist students by providing information about a range of student support services that could be able to help with problems that they may be having, including establishing a strong faculty networks within the university to provide chances for mentoring that would potentially help boost motivation and self-determination. The third one, consolidate. For increased efficiency, institutions should consolidate all their basic needs support services, including emergency housing, meal plan scholarships, brick and mortar mobile food pantries, clothing pantries, textbook assistance programs, into a single department or location. Number four, market. Improve marketing efforts by developing extensive websites for basic needs, as well as social media platforms, newsletters, and listservs that are constantly updated with details about resources that are available locally and regionally. 5, institutions can show their commitment to providing for students' needs and to become more than just food pantries by developing and committing to prominent locations for basic needs. And also provide devoted staff members to help those students as well. 6, faculty and staff need to work collaboratively on projects and initiatives with cultural spaces to connect with students and marginalized backgrounds to improve learning and reduce stigma associated with receiving aid. And then lastly, assess. To gain more comprehensive understanding of undergraduate students' basic needs, institutions must conduct campus-wide assessments. This information can be utilized to support resource allocation and programming while on campus. So we say that in addressing student needs, basic needs on campus, over the past 6 years, Rutgers, New Brunswick has created several programs based on best practices at other colleges and universities, such as meal swipe donations and assistance with SNAP enrollment. In addition, Rutgers, New Brunswick has created a unique and novel program, including a pilot of the Student Community Cafe that serves free lunch to students, as well as the Food Insecurity Screen and Intervene program conducted through Rutgers Student Health. The Rutgers Student Farm grows food specifically for food insecure students. And the Rutgers Student Farm program has partnership with the New Brunswick Community Farmers Market to provide food insecure students no-cost fresh produce. Research studies specifically on students at Rutgers, New Brunswick and campus-wide have been conducted by faculty members Carrie Cute, Stephanie Brescia, and student affairs members such as Carrie Wilson and Dana Weitrap and others. So as you can see on the screen here, food insecurity impacts in a myriad of ways, including a lower self-esteem and overall physical health, as well as increase in risk of depression and substance use. The 2018 Food Insecurity Among Rutgers Student Survey found the following to be true. More than a third of Rutgers students are food insecure, which can also be associated with lower grade point average. Undergraduate students without a meal plan were significantly more likely to be food insecure, and their counterparts with meal plans. Undergraduates who live off campus were more likely to be food insecure than those that live on campus. Additionally, graduate students who receive considerably less aid than undergraduate students are burdened by rent. Over 33% of graduate students found themselves housing insecure within the last year of the study. Over 1/3 of the pay from most research jobs goes towards rent in a shared apartment, and as a result, there isn't left over for other essentials like food, toiletries, utilities, and gas. As you can imagine, it's harder to grow a savings account or raise a family on that salary. Among students with meal plans at Rutgers, the 2019 Food Insecurity also uncovered data that tells the story of students that even with a meal plan suffer from food insecurity on campus. So this comes from our 2016-2018 report. 21.1% reported that they have taken food from the dining halls for themselves because they couldn't afford another meal. Or students said that taking food from the dining hall to give to someone else who could not afford food. And then we have our all-dayers. Those are those students that pretty much go into the food dining halls and spend all day there just because it's only one swipe. Our food pantry has also seen increases. As you can see through here, 2018, 21, and then 22. This past fall, we had over 3,200 students come to the food pantry. Some of the common causes for food insecurity amongst students may be a delay in financial aid or scholarships, disbursements, medical emergencies, lack of money or after paying tuition, fees, and textbooks, lack of money after paying other basic needs, inability to work in the United States, meaning our international students, or unable to qualify for government aid. Either mom makes too much, dad makes too much, and they are not able to get additional aid, so now they have to kind of figure it out on their own. So that leaves challenges for faculty and staff to support these students while we have them on campus. So how are we doing that? A new report found that 60% of students were unaware of the full scope of services offered to them at their college or university, creating gaps on student-facing offices that could negatively impact student retention and success. When asked what services are most important in their decisions, meaning students' decisions to re-enroll in the next term, students ranked academic advising most important at 37%, followed by academic registration at 28%, and financial aid counseling at 15%. Crucially, the report found a direct correlation between awareness of support services and feelings of belonging. Students who had higher levels of resource also felt higher levels of belonging in their community. Only 13% of students experiencing food insecurity reported receiving SNAP benefits, which are government benefits, food stamps, for those folks that might remember what it was called before. And only 5% of housing insecure students indicated receipt of housing assistance. The use of on-campus supports by students experiencing basic needs insecurity was also quite low. Only 15% of students accessed a campus pantry, 4% obtained help using SNAP, and fewer than 2% used emergency housing. So these are questions that we need to kind of ask ourselves. Are students and faculty and staff aware of the resources available to help students? Where do students, faculty, and staff go to learn about the campus resources and services? Are campus supports easy to navigate? Do they effectively address the students? Are students getting what I've heard, the "Are you screwed?" I'm new, so that's what I heard, that's what I've been told. And then do students utilize the campus supports, and do they share those resources with their peers? Therefore, we have to recognize the warning signs. As you can see here on the screen, there are many challenges that our students are kind of going through. So kind of think back, for those that have been here for a little while, think back and how have you seen some of these things with the students that you've been coming across with. These challenges can negatively impact the success of students, impacting their class attendance, their GPAs, the overall sense of well-being. Faculty and staff have a significant role to play in identifying students at risk for food and housing insecurity and providing referrals for success. So we need to identify basic needs and wellness situations. As you can see here, there's 4 different situations. Listen for the statements about a lack of barriers to food, housing, finances, mental health, or sleep. Listen for vague language or downplaying of their situation. Take statements about basic needs or wellness seriously, even if they seem casual, even if a student feels or acts normal about their situation. And if you hear a student talk about basic needs or wellness situations, follow up with them. Email, text, Zoom meetings, whatever that might be, to be able to get them the resources available. Some of the things that you might hear from students are, "I'm hungry." These are verbal cues for food insecurity. I'm so hungry, but I can't eat. I've literally spent all my money on rent. I've spent every dime I have on housing. And some of the nonverbal cues for food insecurity are, look out for excessively tired students, students having difficulties paying attention, changes in mood and focus. Some of the verbal cues of housing insecurity are, I haven't worked in a long time, I don't know where I'm going to pay, how am I going to pay my rent? I have no place to live. I've been staying here and there, I'm staying on a couch. I need to pay my car insurance. I must pay for my registration. Nonverbal cues for housing insecurity are sleepiness, looking disheveled, doing poorly in class, frequently moving around from various friends' houses, and avert fear of losing their car or vehicle, especially if living in their car is a sole housing option. Taking showers in the rec center because they have nowhere else to take them. Those are different things that we can identify and have to identify with housing and food insecurity based on these challenges. So, as I mentioned before, I started in November. So this position as an assistant dean is brand new, thanks to Dr. Salvador Mena and Carrie Wilson here for selecting me to come in and take on this challenge. But one of the things I had to do was you can come in and assess the current status of where we are. Develop relationships with academic leaders, community partners, donors, and of course the students. Develop a strategic plan and marketing initiatives encompasses all of our basic needs and insecurities. So it's not just one or the other, it's all of them. And then institute new programs, services, and initiatives across all 5 of our campuses. So with that, we have our food pantry on our campus. We have a mobile pantry, which was started in 2018, correct? 2020 during the pandemic, that's right. We also have created a new basic needs website that has all the resources in one spot for our students to be able to go to and find out different ways of getting aid and resources. We have a newsletter and improved branding. As you can see right there on the side of the van, that used to be a white van and they used to pull up to certain places on campus and had nothing on the side of it at all. So just imagine, you want to come to the back of my van? I got fruit and vegetables for you. There it is, Candy gets them. But now it rides around campus and you'll see it again this fall. And it asks student, are you a student needing help with your basic needs? Where to go? There's also QR code, which our students are using like crazy. This is where they can go and find aid. It's also have ways where when they go to the stop, it looks legit for them. Emergency fund. We have an emergency fund to help with different situations. On our website, it has lots of different ways our emergency funds are divvied out. And again, those are one-time access for funds to be able to use, like car repairs, medical emergencies, home things that are kind of coming up for them. We have market bucks. We talked a little bit about the fresh produce at the Rutgers market that we have, that students will be able to get fresh produce and, from those spaces through us. Temporary housing. There's lots of situations that students are, looking for emergency housing because of a situation that has led them to fall out with their parents, or they don't agree with the same religion, or they came out to their parents, and now they have to find a new place to go, or they show up on our doorsteps at the Dean of the Students Office with their luggage. We also have grocery gift cards that we're able to help immediately. Again, those students that might have apartments or may not live immediately close to campus but need food, so we provide limited basis grocery gift cards to be able to help them until they have more funding to be able to grab food on their own, or use this to purchase things that we don't currently have in the food pantry. So come get the pastas, the sauces, things like that from the food pantry, and maybe some of the meats and things like that they might need from the grocery stores. We also have the No More Hungry Nights meal plan scholarships that are available, partial and full meal plans. This was created by the Student Affairs Executive Advisory Council. And again, it was to help students with the different food, with having a meal plan to be able to have consistent food options for them. This past year, we spent over $191,000 in food scholarships for students to be able to have a consistent meal. And then this upcoming semester, again, thanks to our donors, we have over 100 meal plans, 75 swipes have been given out for the fall and the spring semester. What are some of the other opportunities that we have? We have, again, the faculty syllabus statements that I talked a little bit about. And actually, at the end of the slide here, I have some up that I'll place up on the screen that you'll be able to see as well. We want to be able to have housing scholarships. Again, get those students that might have those emergency needs to be able to help them with a down payment for an apartment around campus to keep them in school. We want to look and see what we can do as far as basic need resources. Also have peer mentors where we can have students helping students and talking them through the different resources versus the old guy in the room trying to share those things with them. We want to have free food on campus group text programs so we can say if there's something happening in one of our student centers and student groups are getting rid of or have extra food that they could text out and students can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to X room to be able to pick up food. And then we want to be able to sustainable and make sure that we have to-go boxes and things like that for students to be able to feel like, hey, I go there, I don't have anything to take the food with. Well, we'll provide those things. We'll have ways to provide it so they can get those meals that they may have not have gotten before. We want to have ongoing programming on and off campus. One of the things that we're looking at doing is bringing a farmer's market onto campus in the fall semester. So in September and October, 2 times each month, we're going to be having a food market right on Morrell Street at College Avenue. And then we're also going to bring in SNAP navigators, which are trained staff from the food banks here around town to be able to walk our students through how to actually fill out the application for SNAP. Again, those are food stamps, things that are going to help sustain and help our students more than, say, the food pantry. And it helps provide ways for students to be able to have constant food and not be as food insecure. The other possibilities that we have available or want to get to is having computer, scientific calculators, textbook loaner program for our students. These are expenses that when students think, hey, I am paying my tuition, they don't understand that, hey, there is more that they have to pay for, those different things. We get requests all the time. I cannot afford my calculator. I cannot afford my textbook. And these folks might have $2 in their bank account. And again, they may not be receiving support. Clothing pantry, cap and gown loaner programs. We want to help these students be able to get to the back, to the finish line. So those students that are crossing or that are graduating, right? They want to give back to students that are coming behind them to be able to put their cap and gown maybe in a bin after graduation to give to the next year's group. Or they might be going to get their master's in their 4-in-1 program, right? So they're about to be a master's student in a year. They're not going to wear that cap and gown, so they put it in there again for folks to help folks the next year. We want to be able to have a teaching and prep kitchen to be able to help students with, learning how to make meals, make those things last, and having folks from dining services be able to come in and help out and teach students how to make nutritious meals versus just the ramen noodles or the Chef Boyardee. And then we also want to be able to have life skills and courses and basic needs seminars. Students need assistance learning how to navigate and maximize the financial resources available to them, and Basic Needs Campus Center should offer a wide variety of life skill building workshops, seminars, and trainings to help students access basic needs resources, raise awareness around basic needs related issues, and help normalize and assessing assistance for the basic needs related services. So we want to become more than a food pantry. Here we are in the College Avenue space. We are in an 800 square foot space, used to be a dance studio. Great space that we were able to get to, thanks again to our partners with Student Centers and Activities. This is where we're looking to be within, hopefully, the next 6 to 8 months. This is a 4,000 square foot space, and if you're trying to think of where is this at, this is the Red Lion. That's in the lower level of the Student Center. Our hope is to be able to have that book, calculators, loaner program in there, to be able to have offices with dedicated staff. We currently have an assistant director and a basic needs coordinator to actually be there to work with our students and help them through the different challenges that they might be having. We are going to move into a larger space and footprint for the food pantry. But then we'll also have lots of different flex spaces to be able to talk through students about the different financial workshops and different needs that our students might have. And the yellow space up there, since Red Lion was a kitchen, our hope is to be able to then have a test kitchen, prep kitchen, again, to be able to walk our students through different ways of, again, making their meals stretch, making nutritious meals, things like that. So this is where we are looking to move forward, again, in the next 6 to 8 months. This is, again, if you want to, you could take your cameras out now, but your phones out now if you would like to take a pictures of these basic needs statements. Again, we're asking for our faculty to be able to put this in their syllabus as well. We do have this on our website. Again, basicneeds.rutgers.edu is our website, and there's a faculty and staff resources there. It also talks about the warning signs that you might encounter with students, and how to also send the Dean of Students Office referrals in ways to help our students get the resources that they need. All right, I think I'm out of time. I am, right? There it is. All right, so thank you. Again, this is my information here if you'd like to connect. I am on 39 Union Street, so we're right down the street from the Dean of Students Office, which is 88 College Avenue, so we are right there to assist you. One of the things I think I want to share too is that if you have students that are in need throughout this year, please call us. Please email me. Please call us. We are happy to meet with your student. If you're meeting with a student in your office and they have a challenge and you don't know what to do, you want to call Phil, call Carrie, Amber, Ross. Those are the 2 folks in our office. We will come to you if we need to. We will come to any of the campuses, meet with your student. It could be an easy handoff. Again, that's where our students really need the aid and support and not feel like they're a burden on our campuses. So call us. If you want to come afterwards and get my cell phone number, I can do that as well. But again, that's all about how we are really being there for our students, making sure that they have the resources that they need. So thank you.
So thank you so much for taking the time to share with us about some of the work that you did during your dissertation. Don't walk all the way away. We're going to go.
All right.
And then I think for right now, we've got a few minutes for some questions. And so a couple of things that, as I was listening, I wanted to start off the question and answer portion. I know we've got a short amount of time, so I'll ask a question. And then if there's someone who has a question, I see one here, so maybe we'll go right there, around basic needs. But you talked about being able to have a conversation with a student, and if you don't know what to do, just give you a call. But how do you start a conversation with a student that you're suspecting might have a basic needs issue, beyond just having the faculty statement in the web on your syllabus? Like, what do we do if we're encountering a student who we think might show some signs that they might be struggling?
A lot of times it's the connectingness with your students. Having those conversations, get to know them as much as you can. I know for faculty members, that's a little bit harder because you might have 100 or so students in your class. But the thing is, it's kind of keeping aware. It's not tunnel vision, leaving out. It's more of, hey, how can you find ways to connect with them? That could be your student staff that you might have in your office. Is asking questions, just probing questions. How are you doing? How was your weekend? A lot of times students will just tell you exactly what's going on with them based off of those conversations. As you saw one of the quotes there from the research, a lot of students really just want somebody to listen to them. And then once you listen to them, understanding that there are different resources out there for them, and I think it's easy as simple to say, hey, you know what? I know about this website, or I know this guy on campus, right, that we can connect you with. And that's how the initial conversation is. It's more of less, it's just being available to our students in ways that they're going to open up, they're going to want to share, and then that's how you really start the conversation off.
Hi, thank you so much for all this information. So how do students indicate that they're eligible, like that they want to be considered for the the dining hall scholarship? Is there like a form they fill out, or are they contacted by your office? Like, could you explain how that goes?
Sure. So the application opens up in the spring semester. So at the beginning of the spring semester for 1 month that they'll be able to apply. Based off of that, the information gets, we work with One Stop and our foundation area to be able to talk through, you know, the application of the student itself. So it's real simple. One application opens up at the beginning of the spring semester. It is on our basicneeds.rutgers.edu website. It does have meal scholarships under the food assistance program piece of our website there. It is for continuing students. So as they apply for it, it'll be for the fall and or spring semester of the following academic year.
Thank you. I'm very excited to check out the website, and I think that will be a great resource to then share with students. I'm curious if there's anything on there for students who are graduating, because I just had a conversation with a student who's graduating August and said, oh, I'm moving out of my on-campus housing tomorrow. Yeah. And I said, oh, you know, where are you going next? And they shared, I'm not sure. And I was horrified and wanted to know, you know, how can I connect with, because I know once they're not a student, yeah, it's complicated.
We get those emails more frequent than we should. Again, I believe with this Basic Needs Center itself, to be able to help students understand that they're coming to the end of the road and where to go. I had that same kind of challenge. I had no place to go after graduation, so I kind of had to figure it out on my own. But I have faculty and staff members on my college campus that looked out for me, right? Talked through those different things with me. For this particular student situation, if again sending them our way, we have a basic needs at echo.rutgers.edu email. You can send us their information. We can connect with them. We're part of the off-campus Living and Community Initiatives office, so we can help maybe find them different apartments within the area. Hopefully they've thought about different, you know, career opportunities, especially with graduating. But again, we can try to work through them on a case-by-case basis.
Will the housing and food scholarship programs be available to every campus?
So I'm only aware, and maybe Carrie can help me with this a little bit, but I'm aware that they are for the New Brunswick campus only. Each campus might have their own program through their Dean of Students office or Student Affairs area, but for the scholarship that I mentioned there, the No More Hungry Nights would be for the New Brunswick campus only.
Thank you so much to Dr. Phillip Smith, newly minted PhD. We appreciate you. So
I have the EDD.
EDD, so excuse me, newly minted doctorate. So if we want to give him another round of applause. Thank you for the opportunity. I also want to thank all the staff who took the time to be able to fully set up a whole nother room in another part of a building and then also transition it to be here this afternoon. Thank you again. A round of applause for them, because what it took to get to this place is exceptional. So thank you again to our comm staff and also our administrative staff, for the EEG folks who showed up and were able to just kind of jump in because it was a little bit of an emergency for a moment. Thank you again for, yeah, we can also, you can clap, that's good. For the folks who are online, it's been a different situation for today. I appreciate you kind of staying with us and being able to share. We can follow up with you after the program with questions and all those kinds of pieces. We will definitely connect you with Dr. Smith, or Phillip, as he likes to be called right now, with all the questions that you have about basic needs. But again, thank you so much for taking the time. And for the folks in the room, I appreciate my colleagues, Dr. Mena and Dr. Mailing, for coming and spending some time with us. We appreciate you. I appreciate you for coming in and supporting. So again, thank you all for your time and attention. Shortly, I'm going to transition the slides to a QR code so that you can give an evaluation for today. just for the sake of us trying to understand where we can be next time and some things to think about or improve on, or even if you have questions or thoughts about the kinds of things that you'd like to see. So as you're transitioning, you're packing up, you're saying hello to some new and old colleagues, please take the time to scan the QR code, and then we welcome you to be able to go outside, grab something to eat. If you'd like to sit with us out here in the hallway, there are some benches. If you come out of this room and make a right and continue to make a left, there's more benches where you can grab your food, have a seat, and spend some time in lunch and community with us. So if all hearts and minds are clear, okay, I will say to you as the former professor in BME, you are dismissed. So thank you so much.